what I wanted to ask is, I see how well the video integrates with like how-to books, but with creative books, the books that per se carry their own image, their own idea, how the video, will it enhance, or in some ways by the videographer's interpretation of the text, take away something from the creative?
Yeah, I think it could. Just like a movie could, a standalone, you read a book and then you see the movie and you go, terrible interpretation, miss the story, miss that. So I think, yeah, absolutely that happens. So do you want to always be religious about being true to form? Maybe not. Maybe you let it happen and not worry about it. And if people like it and enjoy it, they can still buy the book. Is kind of my philosophy. Do they butcher the story and ruin it? Yeah, just like the movies, and it will happen here. Do you want to try to avoid that? Yeah, and I think that's why we're big fans of getting the author and the filmmaker together, so it's more of a collaboration. Yes?
Wait, let's use the mic
here. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We've got to turn this off before you...
Hi.
Hi.
Is that on?
Yep.
Okay. You talked about how-to books and inspirational business books being logical fits. I do exclusively narrative nonfiction. And the thing that I'm wondering about is now that at the point of acquisition, I am trying to think about these different mixed media opportunities that we have. And I'm thinking, if I could have one of my authors have a video camera and sort of incorporate a documentary style into the book, but like, what are the technologies that they need and what is the equipment that they need to have the quality be what you have just shown us, which obviously is
you could do it with this,
Yeah.
which is a flip, but it depends on what you're trying to achieve. What you don't want to do, and this is kind of to the gentleman's question too, you don't want to diminish the value of the story, and so technology is important. You can give an author a flip camera, and he can do a flip version of his story on a flip camera. The only question is a couple things. That person in the headlights or in front of the flip talking about, that can be done really creatively and it can be done really poorly, and it can really detract. If there's the next level up is a camera that's $500 and $1,000, and then there's a microphone, and then there's lighting, and then it just really depends on what quality you want. Having the author do it themselves, it's happening in the newsroom. And it can be done very, very effectively. But there's a lot of thought that should be given to it, like the creative treatment, like what is it this dude's going to talk about?
Is there an example that you would say of somebody who's doing that now and doing it well?
I'm sure we have some, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
That we're working with, Seth Godin would be a good example of something that would speak to what you're talking about.
But he didn't shoot himself, so the mechanics of it were different. We had a filmmaker that hung around with Seth, and so that,
Okay. Thank you.
Yes?
Sorry.
Just a quick question. You were talking about doing things well and doing things badly, and I was just wondering if there are any rules of thumb you've come up with. I understand that it's new and you're constantly experimenting, but sometimes you come up with things. This we tried 3 times and it didn't work.
Well, one thing we learned on the internet a long time ago: when you create deliberately video, the creators already figured out something which was short form. That happened almost accidentally. If Hollywood had been left to it, or television had been left to it, it'd be 26 minutes or 92 minutes, because they've been stuck in their form forever. Only the short story you look at the Oscars and they're really interesting, the animation and the short stories and all that, is the only deviation from this is the way you do it. Fortunately on the web, people start putting stuff up, and that form that we became familiar with in the internet is 2 minutes, so 2 to 3 minutes, 4 minutes maybe, 45 seconds done well. As I always say, like giving a speech, I just violated my own rule, but if the Gettysburg Address was 7 minutes, by God, I should be able to talk about ebooks in 30. So there is something about the efficiency of the form here, that because of the attention span of the users. So that's one thing. I think it's a shorter form. Just like I think with the text it's a shorter form. I think it's a bridge. I sometimes use this analogy, which the old people in the news business like me don't like, but in 1980 with USA Today, they looked at the news business and said people are running, they're fast-paced, everything else. They want shorter form. They want graphics, they want pictures, they want to, and USA Today not only became the template for what today is the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, but it also became the template for the web. So no one had that in their head, but if you look at it, it was kind of the blueprint for the web, which is this mixed media sort of experience. So shorter form is one thing. And then there's just all these techniques in filmmaking, like sound, shots, cutaways, that come with somebody that has some intelligence about filmmaking, and that's another one. Video annotation, we're not sure we got it right yet, so how you do that, if you look at the Rice one, which today is 99 cents, you can buy it. It is, we think, really done well by a great filmmaker in New Orleans. Only our users will tell us whether it works. We didn't mess with her story, but she gave us all of this stuff around it, associated with it, really informs it. So, that's the challenge. Is this an extension? Is it an illustration? Is it animation? Is it dramatization? Is it education? All the IONs, as I say, have to kind of be thought through ahead of time. What else have we learned? A whole bunch of things.
Do you, just one quick follow-up? Sorry, Susan.
That's okay. I don't know if this is working for you, so why don't you just let
Just one quick follow-up is, thanks. Do you see a change as we're moving from, or not moving from what you talked about, the iPad, and now you have a larger screen surface on the go with you, maybe even in your house? So, just a thought.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how Apple with the iPhone, who would have thought how beautifully they rendered video. For us in the video business, that was a home run. And so when I think of the larger device, part of me would have said 2 years ago for the iPhone, we need a bigger device. But the reality is it will render even more beautifully, I think, all these experiments in mixed media. Also lots of tools and a lot of other things that they've added to this thing that make it very, 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 very powerful. Every day my engineer's telling, do you know they can do this and they can do that? And I've been trying to constrain him. Oh, that's great that you can do yellow highlighting, but I'm not sure we should add that. Just because you can do it. This shouldn't become a circus. If you look at our form here, we kept it pretty, minimalist. It's not, there's a lot going on, more than a book, but if you look at the functionality, we tried to strip out too many bells and whistles, because what's dangerous with the internet is you have so many damn tools that you litter it with crap, and I think it's important not to do that. Yes, the woman right here.
Hi, I'm just wondering, ebook rights and multimedia rights notwithstanding, if an agent were to come to you with a project with minimal rights friction, do you prefer they come with an author who has text and a vision, or text and a vision and a filmmaker ready to go, or like a finished product?
The filmmaker is challenging, because if they're not part of our network, because the way our network works, they may be shooting small business this morning and television this afternoon and a Vook tomorrow, and this is an aspirational project for our filmmakers. They want to do these. So the economics of the filmmaker, because we pay our creators, and so you got to compensate them, and sometimes we give them a piece of the action. We can do it if they have a filmmaker. We can lend our technology and help people integrate it. We're open to that. A filmmaker or an author that has an idea about multimedia, absolutely, that's fantastic, because they're creative people, and if they have ideas, the more the merrier. If they have no ideas about this and just want to experiment, that's fine too. It really doesn't matter. The filmmaker part, if they have a filmmaker who, is a Hollywood producer that wants to make $1 million, then that's probably not in our wheelhouse. But if they got a filmmaker that wants to work with them, yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brad.
Thank you.
If you